Just about set. The Cavaliers of Virginia roll in with a lot of confidence. The Tar Heels of North Carolina, ranked 25th in the country, know it's their home, and they've been on a roll. We're at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The officials, Larry Rose, Mike Wood, John Cow. And Virginia will have it first.
Tim, remember, this is a building in which Virginia has never won. They're 0-14. North Carolina starts in the man-to-man defense.
Watson kicks it back out front. The shot clock down to 15. Donald Hand will penetrate. Nice pass to Hall.
And that's the Virginia man-to-man offense. You take the ball to one side of the court, you reverse it to the other side, they penetrate and try to create an open situation. And Adam Hall, a tremendous leaper.
Keep in mind, Carolina had 21 turnovers the first time these two clubs met. Hand doesn't have numbers, pulls up. This is for three. There's Hall with a big rebound.
And again, you say, well, a quick shot. Why did he take that? Well, he missed it, but there wasn't anybody from North Carolina back either for the rebounding. And Virginia plays very well in transition.
Shot clock down to 15 again. Inside they go to Watson. He banks in a left-hander.
And they're going right at Brendan Haywood. The ball has entered into Travis Watson's hands each possession down the court for the Cavaliers.
Virginia by 4. Lang gets into trouble. Oh, nice pass underneath to Haywood.
That's what you have to do against the Virginia pressure. Move the ball quickly. Lang made a mistake in hanging on to it for as long as he did. Almost lost it. But once he got it out of there, you move it quickly and you make him pay for that pressure.
Down low they go. Williams has it blocked. Another turnover.
And Williams is not anxious about getting it blocked, so he backs it out. Even though Haywood's not down the court yet, the Cavaliers play slowly, and as a result, Haywood's able to get back in the game.
Haywood had a nice game against Virginia in Charlottesville, 20 points, 12 rebounds.
They go right at Watson.
Watson again.
Travis Watson talking to the official as he comes up the court. Felt like Haywood fouled him with the body on that hook shot.
Cota is fouled. The foul will be on Hall. Smart play by Cota to take it to the hoop.
One of the things that Cota doesn't really do as much as I think he should is take the ball to the hoop like that. Tim, he's been to the free throw line very few times this year, only 55 times during the course of 25 games.
Foul was actually on Watson. There are the numbers on Cota. 73% free throw shooter, and bottoms that one.
And now you contrast that with Donald Hand from Virginia, their point guard. Donald Hand has been to the free throw line 147 times. So
makes them both.
Virginia wants to play the up and down game, and there it is.
What a play! And the loud pass and the tip by Hall.
Mainly up that time, huh?
Unbelievable. Not only did he get up, but then he had to, it was almost a reverse layup. 8-4, another turnover for the Tar Heels. The feeling coming into the game for Virginia was that they had to get off to a fast start. It looks like they're doing that.
Well, again, and they're attacking, and that's Virginia at its best. What a great play by Adam Hall. The ball was thrown behind him, and he tipped it in. Pete Gillen's just as happy he didn't try the spectacular dunk. He'd have missed that, but he just put his hand on the ball and guided it in.
It was spectacular as it was.
And now North Carolina in the zone defense on the out-of-bounds play underneath, and Virginia has struggled against zones at times this year. He shot 2 of 19 from behind the three-point arc against Georgia Tech, and Hand loses it.
Cota, Capel, foul. This foul will be called on Mason, and that'll be his first.
And you get the idea very early. The transition defense is going to be a key factor in this game because each team likes to get the ball out and push it. Bill Guthridge's squad doesn't have the position-by-position quickness that Pete Gillen has at his fingertips, but North Carolina likes to get the ball out, run down the court.
Capel makes the first. He had a double-double against Wake last week, 12 points, 13 rebounds. He scored in double figures 9 of the last 10 games.
Well, North Carolina going to the free throw line early. That is a good sign. One of the little statistics that people keep is when North Carolina has attempted more free throws than their opponents, they're 15-1. And they have not won a game all year in which the opponents have attempted more free throws than them.
Williams with a tough turnaround. Carolina with a rebound, and they're going to run. Caper throws up an air ball. Forte gets it back to Cota. Into Haywood. Yes!
Nice job by North Carolina. They never allowed Virginia to get organized on defense.
We're tied at 8.
North Carolina's back to the man-to-man.
Penetration by hand, knocked out of bounds by Haywood.
Nice job by Forte to pull down the rebound, and Virginia really scrambling after the basketball. That's a couple of times now. They've double-teamed and left somebody open.
16-12 to play in the first half. Virginia 8, North Carolina 8. Earlier this year, when Virginia beat North Carolina in Charlottesville, they forced 21 turnovers. They forced 2 early here.
And Tim, that was really the key in the game. You can see North Carolina shot the ball very well. North Carolina with a decisive edge in the rebounding, but those turnovers ended up spelling doom for North Carolina. Virginia led in that game by 12 points with just over 6 minutes to go, and North Carolina, led by Joseph Forte, very nearly pulled it out in Charlottesville.
Forte has yet to take a shot in this one. 16-10 to play in the first half. We are tied at 8.
North Carolina has been in the man-to-man except for the 2 underneath out-of-bounds plays by Virginia, where the Tar Heels have gone to the zone, and the shot clock is down to 5, and I don't know that anybody from Virginia knows it.
Williams underneath. Knocked away. Watson with a putback at the buzzer.
Watson's really having a heck of a start to this game. They've gone right to him.
They double Cota and take it away.
Oh, that's just a tremendous play.
Strong power move, and Hall continues to be strong. Cota misses. You mentioned Watson. Hall's off to a good start. Here he is again from 3.
A little bit up and down tempo in this game, wouldn't you say?
I'm a little bit surprised. I didn't think Carolina would let the game get to that point. 15-13 to play in the first half. 12-8 Virginia. We'll be back right after this.
Virginia with a 4-point lead, and it's a game where the tempo has been much in favor of the Cavaliers. Here the penetration brings Haywood, and Chris Williams finds Travis Watson inside, and Watson has the patience to stay with it. Now, this time Chris Williams gets the ball, passes it inside to Adam Hall. The Cavaliers very effective at forcing the turnovers and converting the opportunities they create. Virginia, a lot of very close looks at the basket thus far.
Approaching 15 minutes to play in the first half from Chapel Hill. Cota working against Majestic Mapp, who's just checked into the game. Another turnover, now the foul on Brendan Haywood.
And that's really the first time in this basketball game that North Carolina has gotten into its set offense. The Tar Heels have been running against the Virginia pressure, and that time trying to force it inside to Haywood, who had a tremendous game the first time out. Double-double, 20 points, 12 rebounds. Ed Cota now with 3 turnovers in this game. And his last 2 games combined, he only had 4.
As we look at Mapp with the ball, that's one of the big improvements in Virginia this year is the bench scoring. They're getting it from Mapp and several others.
Again, Travis Watson trying to be very aggressive. That time putting the ball on the deck, trying to go by Haywood.
Nice pass to Lang, but he misses it. Here's Mason.
Oh my, did he go by Cota? Good heavens, Cota was trying to get his feet set and never did. Mason went right by him like he was nailed to the floor.
14-8 Cavaliers. Forte, they jump him and double him in a hurry.
Well, now Haywood is mismatched inside against Hall. Forte doesn't see it.
right over top of Mason. Those two had some real battles in high school when Mason was playing for Good Counsel and Forte was playing for DeMatha.
And that was a big shot for North Carolina. That's one that needed to break that little Virginia burst.
Nice running one-hander by Mapp.
I wonder how long North Carolina will stay with the man-to-man defense, Tim. Virginia's just so quick that it's hard for the Tar Heels to defend that penetration by the Cavaliers.
Wahoos by 6.
But Watson and Haywood are just all over one another. And their Mapp is going to get called for a foul hanging on to Ed Cota.
Well, a reminder, coming up on Tuesday, you'll see either Maryland against Clemson or Wake Forest against Duke. That's Tuesday, coming up February 22nd, 8 o'clock. Check your local listings on your Raycom Sports and Jefferson Pilot Sports Network. Air ball by Forte.
That's a shot the Tar Heels will take, though. Forte wide open from about 17 feet off the screen.
Well, it's an emotional matchup with Mason and Forte.
Now Peppers is trying to match up against Chris Williams. He's trying to do it by getting his body right up against it.
Pass to Hall. Offensive. This will be against Hall. He gives a sarcastic smile. He didn't like the call.
Virginia working the ball side to side, and then Hall finding the opening and heading down the lane, and Jason Capel doing a nice job to step in.
.13:07 to play in the first half. It's still Carolina trailing by 6.
You see the hand has come back in the game, so now Mapp and Hand playing in the backcourt together.
Capel with a pass to Haywood. High percentage slam by Brendan Haywood.
In his last 6 games, Haywood has shot the ball at better than an 80% clip. And he'll make just about all of them shooting those kind.
He has 3 for 3. Williams kicks it back outside. Donald Hand to Williams. That's for 3.
Well, that was good ball movement by Virginia. North Carolina's sort of in between. If they collapse to stop the penetration, that leaves the three-point shooters open. But if they don't stop the penetration, they're getting killed on the inside. Let's see who they got. Watson or Haywood? Looks like Watson.
Watch this.
Watson and Haywood really going after one another, and Brendan Haywood, about 265 pounds, trying to get position underneath Watson, 250 pounds, but Watson only 6'7". He's given up about 5 inches in there to Brendan Haywood.
He sits down with 2 personals, so Don comes into the ball game for the Cavaliers.
And Watson has been a very important part of the Virginia offense early in this game. They went into him, and he was successful.
Max Owens replaces Forte. He'll get a breather.
So with Watson out of the game, now Haywood's going to come out of the game. Watson, we mentioned, with 6 points. Haywood's got 6 as well.
And Lang checks back in. Capel trying to get the ball inside.
Pepper's really working hard trying to get position in there.
Now he takes it in the paint and scores.
If Capel can get the ball there, he can shoot it over Adam Hall. Capel has about a 3 or 4 inch height advantage. The question is, can he get it there? Hall is so quick, he ought to be able to deny that penetration.
Donald Hand has been quiet thus far. Here's his shot. Here's his points.
Donald Hand is a guy who can spend some time being quiet. Those are his first 2 points, but he can score a lot of points within a short period of time. In fact, the first time these 2 teams played, he didn't score in the first half, but finished with 12. Chris Williams playing way off Peppers. Peppers does a nice job to get close, but then as the shot.
Cota puts it back for 2. 21-16, Cavaliers. Turnover. Hall gets it back. Mapp fires.
The pace of this game is really something, Tim.
Inside the Lang, jump hook. Williams comes down with it.
Lang won't miss very many of those.
is calling for it. Now they get it back to him. He'll set the offense with 20 seconds.
Tar Heels stay in the man-to-man. And again, Donald Hand in this situation is looking for penetration and either to take it all the way to the basket or kick it out to the open man.
Or fire from three.
Oh, that's another option, too. Hand leads the Cavaliers in three-point shooting.
Dangerous pass. Peppers scoops it up.
Boy, he did a great job to hold
Owens beyond the arc. Boy, they are scrapping. 9:56 to play in the first half. 24-16 Cavaliers. 24-16 Virginia. Tremendous pace here, Dan.
Tremendous pace. A lot of shots very close to the basket. The North Carolina Tar Heels have really been playing against a scrappy Virginia defense that has double-teamed them a couple of times. North Carolina's been able to find Haywood open on the inside, and Virginia started out the game trying to go inside. So Haywood with the dunk, Watson with the hook shot. Now here's Haywood again running on the fast break. The transition nature of the game has favored Virginia thus far, although when North Carolina doesn't turn it over, they've done a nice job getting easy opportunities.
Virginia with 10 transition points. 9:55 to play first half.
And Virginia likes to stay in the man-to-man on the underneath out of bounds, and Owens gets loose, and he's fouled by Donald Hand, and that has really been a problem for the Cavaliers. Donald Hand has more fouls than anyone else on the Virginia team, has actually fouled out of 5 different games.
Max Owens, 6'5" junior from Macon, Georgia, makes his first. Numbers for him against Virginia in the last meeting. He also had those big three-pointers against NC State. Makes them both here, 24-18.
Owens is a very valuable guy to have coming off the bench because he is capable of putting up big offensive numbers.
Hand beyond the arc. Splash.
Now, I'll tell you what, Donald Hand has made his first 2, and you simply cannot allow him that much room because once he starts making them, he can make 5 or 6 in a row.
Forte answers at the other end. 7-point Cavalier lead.
And again, the very, very quick pace. North Carolina now back into the zone.
Forte with a rebound.
Now, Don and Watson both playing at the same time. Watson matched up against Lang, Don against Haywood.
Pass ahead to Mason. Shot and banks it in.
Virginia likes to keep the pressure on, and they just come after you.
Right there. Owens stepped on the line after the double team by Watson and Hand.
North Carolina again doesn't react very well to the double team, and the Tar Heels simply don't get back quickly enough on defense because Mason just running the wing.
We mentioned the 21 turnovers that North Carolina had against Virginia the first meeting. They have 6 already here.
Again, the Tar Heels in the zone. Boy, you see how they ran out of Donald Hand? That's a pretty good idea, I think, though.
Oh, Watson.
Oh, my! Boy, what a game Watson is having.
Biggest lead for the Cavaliers at 11.
Virginia's got the pace, such a frantic pace here. The North Carolina really not taking their time, Tim.
I'm not sure Capel wanted to bank it in, but he did and got the points.
North Carolina really in a bit more hurry than they want to be on the offensive end.
Yeah, they really don't look comfortable at this pace, do they?
Why not? Watson's now made all 5.
He's hitting everything else.
Haywood worried about the ability to get by him. There's another turnover.
Boy, they're making it look too easy. They need a timeout. They take one. 35-22 Virginia. Cavaliers with their largest lead with 7:33 to play in the first half. Bill Guthridge says we've got to stop the bleeding.
The issue has been the pace Virginia is able to create here. Now Watson takes the ball and goes all the way to the basket on Haywood, and that's important because the next time Watson catches the ball, Haywood plays off and he gets the jumper, and this has been the cornerstone of the Virginia offense today is the fast break basket. Bill Guthridge knows that he has got to do something with his team to change the tempo of this game. This frantic pace is really something the Cavaliers are comfortable with.
How are they going to do that, Dan? Do they start playing more zone?
I don't know that the zone defense is the way you do it. I think the most important thing is to stop turning the ball over. North Carolina's turned it over 6 times early. Cota himself has 7 turnovers. In Virginia, they forced the 7 turnovers and they've created 10 points as a result. And here they are with the half-court press again.
And there's another turnover. Peppers couldn't handle it. They just talked about it. They come out and they turn it over again. 7:25 to play in the first half. So far, it's all Virginia. 13-point lead, 7:25 to play. The Wahoos up on top. Now, a couple of things here that have affected North Carolina. One, Ronald Curry. He was hurt back in October when he ruptured his Achilles and had surgery the following day. Then 2 months later, Brian Bursticker. He came down on the wrong foot in the game against College of Charleston. You see him go down there on a baseline, and those 2 fellas are out. Now, Brian Bursticker has just applied for medical hardship. They thought he'd be back February 14th, but the foot has not responded.
That's a tough injury. Even if the foot had responded, he'd be so far behind everybody in terms of his conditioning and his timing. Unlikely that he could be a big factor for the Tar Heels anyway.
35-22, Virginia.
And the Tar Heels stay in the zone defense here. Forte matching up against Donald Hand.
Got caught in the air. Watson with the turnaround.
Boy, and that's a shot that Virginia, even though they've got the 13-point lead, they need to convert every opportunity like that because the North Carolina Tar Heels will be making at least one comeback. Well, you need to get all the points you can get while you can get them.
Williams had a terrific opportunity for the putback. They double Cota.
Peppers missed Cota going down the lane, and now they're going to trap Forte.
Jump ball possession arrow belongs to the Tar Heels.
And there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock. Tim, just about every offensive set for North Carolina, they're back on their heels because Virginia's trapping them. As the trap comes, Forte backs up away from the basket. He needs to keep that dribble and go toward the basket. Excellent play, and now they've only got a couple of seconds.
Cota fires from way outside. Mason pulls it down.
And he traveled. Now the Cavaliers, they've got the 13-point lead, Tim, and they are not about to slow the pace of the game. So North Carolina, just as everybody who plays Virginia, you can get down 10 or 12 points and you're not out of the game by any stretch of the imagination because the Cavaliers are going to keep playing quickly and you're going to have lots of opportunities to get back in the game.
Joe Forte has a good look from beyond the arc and loses it on the rebound. So with 6 minutes to play, it's 35-22 Virginia. This broadcast is a copyrighted presentation. Any use of it without the express permission of Raycom Jefferson Pilot Sports and the ACC is prohibited.
Now another factor to consider, Tim, while we're talking about the pace of this game is the Virginia bench a little bit deeper than the North Carolina bench. Pete Gillen able to run more guys in there, and can the North Carolina players maintain the pace throughout 40 minutes?
Huge difference this year. Last year, the Virginia bench averaged 12 points a game. Now they're averaging 26 points off the bench. Here's Watson with another tough shot. Backs it in. Right over top of Haywood.
You know, it's like Haywood is 6 feet tall instead of 7 feet tall.
Now 5 for 6.
Boy, Peppers is asking for the ball because he's matched up with Dersh on the inside, and they finally get it to him. Now, Brendan Haywood had the great game against Virginia previously, and it's obvious that Virginia's decided they're going to go right at him. Watson does a great job with the fake, getting his body close to Haywood's, and that's just a spectacular shot. A little jump hook while he's fading away.
And Watson is still complaining that he was fouled. He did that earlier, and he's doing it again. Peppers goes to the line. You see the numbers on Peppers. in the last meeting against Virginia. 6'6", 280-pound freshman from Bailey, North Carolina. Made 8 of his last 11 field goal attempts. And rolls in the free throws.
And we talked about the pace of the game, and here Bill Guthridge with the old blue team concept.
Like the old Big Blue, huh?
Well, we saw this the other night.
Wholesale changes.
Man-to-man defense.
5:18 to play first half. They're on their feet at the Dean Dome. Hand doesn't get the roll. And Dersch is fouled by Johnson.
Donald Hand pulled up, I think, a little bit too early that time. He had created himself a lane for the basket. Now, Pete Gillen calls the 32nd timeout, and he wants to talk to his team about the way they want to attack. You don't want to get in such a great hurry just because this is the second team guys in the game. You want to make sure you get the kind of opportunities that you're used to getting.
Hey, fans, for a chance to win $1 million at the half-court line, don't miss the Bank of America Home Equity $1 Million Dream Shot. For complete rules, visit bankofamerica.com/sports. No purchase or transaction is necessary. Bank of America, equal housing lender. What a job Pete Gillen has done at Virginia in a very short period of time. A win today would certainly help greatly and get him into the postseason, but Dan, he's really raised expectations in Charlottesville.
He sure has. I don't think there's any question Virginia's already assured themselves a winning season. So they're definitely going to play in the postseason, but they'd like to play in the NCAA tournament.
There's Williams with 2 more. He has 5 points.
And now Virginia really going to try to turn the heat up.
Melendez in the corner. Has it knocked away to Hand.
Oh, nice pass.
Dersch overpass, but here comes Watson. Offensive.
Well, he ran over 2 guys, and that's now 3 fouls on Travis Watson. And that's not a good play by Virginia to kick the ball back to Watson. Williams not able to handle the pass. Virginia fortunate to come up with it.
Wow. You see Everett getting off the floor from North Carolina there. He was dressed for the JV game.
And there is a traveling violation because Everett moved along the baseline. It's a spot throw-in when the ball goes out there. That's now 10 turnovers. Everett forgetting most of the time you take it out underneath after a basket and you're allowed to move.
There's what you were just talking about, Dan. 10 of them. Williams had that one halfway down and comes back out.
Now the blue team has only given up 2 points, and they've drawn the 3rd foul on Travis Watson, so an okay performance thus far.
Holmes inside to Everett. Melendez. Newby. Holmes from beyond the arc. Loves this team. Hand off balance.
Again, a forced shot by Virginia. Their shot selection has not been very good since this group has come in the game for the Tar Heel. And this is exactly what you want if you're North Carolina. You give your regulars some rest.
Foul is called on Don Don. This is not an imposing looking group that Carolina has on the floor right now, but you're right, they're doing a terrific job.
It's not an imposing looking group, but these guys come in and play really, really hard for the few minutes that they're on the court.
At the line, let me introduce to you Will Johnson. He's a freshman from Hickory, North Carolina, and he's a Moorhead scholar. 3:45 to play in the first half. Donald Hand for 2. Newby with the rebound. Newby will take it right down the lane. Melendez with the follow.
You know, you just start to press a little bit against this group. You figure we ought to be doing really great things. Listen to the crowd.
Unbelievable how this group is excited to crowd. Oh, tough shot. Mason extends the lead.
You're just not whistling Dixie, partner. That was a very difficult shot.
Here they come again. The shock troops. Melendez. Nothing to it. They've even got the starters on their feet. Those guys are supposed to be resting. Nice move by Williams.
Nobody came to help him. You can't let Williams have that much time that close to the basket.
He now has 7 points. It's 43-28 Virginia. So, Dan, you're right. With these guys in the ballgame for Carolina, Virginia's not extending the lead, but they're keeping what is already a big lead. Here's Dersch, and he does extend it, and he'll go to the line with one more.
Well, now Bill Guthridge is going to get his regulars back in the game. Willie Dersch does a great job stepping in front. Now he glances over his shoulder and he gets a look at Melendez and takes his body right into Melendez, draws the foul. That's a veteran play by Virginia's senior.
Starters come back into the ball game now, and the shock troops leave with a standing ovation. Nicely done by that group.
Now when they came in, Virginia had a 13-point lead, and Virginia's lead is at 17 right now, and this is the first Cavalier free throw.
Willie Dersch converts a three-point play. 45-28 Virginia. Will return after these messages from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Virginia has opened up an 18-point lead with 2:11 to play in the first half. Take a look, Dan, at our Jeep game summary. Looks like this.
And not really any secret to why Virginia has the lead. The Cavaliers shooting 60% from the field. They forced 11 North Carolina turnovers, and we talked about the transition. Virginia, 16 transition points already. They're just going up and down. North Carolina has really never been able to get into what appears to be a comfortable flow on offense.
Forte handling the basketball, and North Carolina loses it out of bounds.
Turnover number 12, and again Virginia running, trapping, double teaming, forcing North Carolina to play maybe a pace or two faster than they'd like to go.
Surprised that they had Forte bringing it up instead of Cota. Here's Matt. Don battling with Haywood. He's not going to win that battle.
Don taking it all the way down in there, and you'd like to try to attack Haywood, but you got to pick your spots.
Ball's loose again, and now the foul is called. I believe this will be on Don. It is.
Chris Williams was coming from behind and had a real shot at the steal, but Don pushed Haywood. And again, North Carolina at the free throw line. The Tar Heels have scored 8 points at the line. They're 8 for 9, and Haywood, over his last 15 games, is shooting almost 75% from the line.
And he makes that one, so he's now made 76 of his 119 free throws. He's been on a pretty good roll. Had that 20 points, 10 rebounds against Wake in the last game. There's the pick back by Lang.
And so a good trip down the court for the Tar Heels. They got the 3 points. They cut it back to 15.
First bucket for Lang.
And Virginia has played very well to jump out to the lead, but there's still a lot of time left in this contest.
Donald Hand is getting a rest. So the Cavaliers aren't as smooth running the offense.
That was not a very patient play by Adam Hall that time. After he lost the ball, he still tried to take it up, then got it back. Probably should have kicked that one out.
Tar Heels really haven't been able to get Forte involved in the offense. Ball's loose again. Cota. And finally, Brendan Haywood.
And there's Lang and Haywood with the tip. Really the first time in the game that North Carolina has been able to use their tremendous size inside to pound the offensive boards. The shot clock is off. Virginia can hold it for the last one if they so choose.
You see the clock in the right-hand corner. 15 seconds left in the half. 46-33, Cavaliers. It's down to 10. Matt takes it himself, running one-hander. Last touch by North Carolina, so with 3.3 seconds left, they want to get Donald Hand in the ball game in a hurry.
And they get Don out, so they've got another shooter in the game. Plenty of time for the Cavaliers.
Hand off the front of the iron. That bucket won't count on the follow. And that's the way it'll end.
Last 5 points of the half were scored by North Carolina. I think a key 5 points for the Tar Heels. Maybe a little switch in the momentum going into the half.
Virginia 46, North Carolina 33. A very fast-paced first half. We'll be back with our halftime activities after this.
ACC basketball is being brought to you by Amoco, by Chick-fil-A, by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers, by Aquafina, and by Geico Direct.
Quickly before the second half tip, take a look at the Buick keys of the game, Dan.
Virginia really has had its tempo much the way they want it. They've played quickly, but they have to continue to do that, but they don't want to be in a big hurry. Now, for North Carolina, they have got to convert the opportunities that Virginia's pace is going to give them. The Tar Heels didn't do that in the first half. They turned the ball over 12 times. They've got to get that straightened away. A concern for Pete Gillen is that Travis Watson starts the half with 3 fouls. Now, where did the points come from? I think the key there is that North Carolina has yet to score a 3-point field goal. 20% of the Tar Heels offense comes from behind the 3-point arc, and they have not converted today.
Donald Hand with the basketball. Cavaliers have it first. Trying to add to the 13-point lead.
North Carolina in the man-to-man, and Virginia trying to go after Haywood again.
Mason off balance.
Cavaliers with 7 offensive rebounds in the first half. Start the second half out very effectively with another offensive rebound.
Boy, Hand almost pulled the trigger.
They're going to continue to take a look at Watson down on the inside against Haywood.
Shoots over him.
Now remember, North Carolina scored the last 5 points of the first half to get the lead down from 18 to 13. Now let's see if the Tar Heels go after Watson, who's got those 3 personal fouls.
Well, they're bumping and grinding down low. Here's Forte, who was quiet in the first half, just 4 points. This is for 3, yes!
And we just told you they didn't have any. They've cut the lead to 10. That's the ACC's 3rd leading 3-point percentage shooter. And so now the Tar Heels are right back where they'd like to be.
First 3 for North Carolina. Capel had a double-double last week. He comes up with a big bucket here. Williams, way too strong. Here come the Tar Heels.
Now, you don't want to get in this fast-paced game with Virginia. You want to play in the half court.
Haywood carries it out of bounds, and so another turnover for North Carolina.
But for Bill Guthridge, he's got to feel a little bit pleased here in the first 2 minutes of this half. Virginia has not been able to run up and down the way they did in the first half. If you can make the Cavaliers play in the half-court offense, you're in a little bit better shape than if you're allowing them to score easy baskets in transition.
This is for 3. Watson with a rebound.
Well, that's a big rebound by Watson. The long rebound. He doesn't get blocked out, but Capel was battling him every step of the way.
Draws iron, and again, the Cavaliers get a big rebound from Williams.
Virginia's getting open looks, but they're simply not going down. Remember, this is the same team that was 2 of 19 from 3-point range against Georgia Tech.
So Williams takes it in the paint with a sweet left hand.
And I think that's a big basket for Virginia. They were really struggling. Now they get a turnover.
That's 14 turnovers for North Carolina. Terrific defensive play by Hall.
Chris Williams was standing all alone in the corner, and Adam Hall never turned his head and saw him.
Hand will fire from 3. Put back by Hall, won't go down. Capel. And Haywood is fouled by Hall.
And that's really a nice move by Haywood, battling for the ball on the inside. Capel, who had just made the three-pointer, misses that one. And Haywood just jumps over Watson and rips the ball out of his hand. And then he doesn't dribble it. How many times do you see a big guy dribble it in there just to steady himself? But Haywood kept his balance, and by not dribbling, draws the foul.
Not a bad foul by Hall to make Haywood earn him. He does the first. 64% free throw shooter.
And I don't know that Pete Gillen has been particularly happy with his team's shot selection to start the second half. They've been almost exclusively on the perimeter, and they haven't been making it.
So it proves to be a foul that saved the point.
And this crowd is just really anxious to get in the game. Man-to-man for North Carolina.
16:35 to play in the game, and at 48-37, Virginia.
Lang with some room to drive.
Mason had a look and dribbled into trouble.
And you're right, Tim. He had a wide open look, dribbled into three guys. Maybe that's a shot he should have taken.
Inside the Lang, little jump hook, and missed it. Wow.
He's missed two of those today, and you don't often see him do that.
Donald Hand starting the second half full. You know what's been impressive to me is the patience of Forte. He's not getting the points he normally gets, but he's not forcing his shots.
You're absolutely right. Joseph Forte is a guy who has all year long let the game come to him. He plays very patiently. He's a guy who can score points quickly.
Inside the Lang again and has it blocked. Donald Hand looks to push it. Pulls up for the jumper. Instead goes inside. This is Williams.
Boy, Virginia ice cold from the perimeter. And these rebounds are long rebounds. It's not as if North Carolina is doing a poor job blocking out. For the most part, they have inside position. The ball just over their heads. Now Hand trying to force it.
Watson.
Haywood got a piece of that one.
They've got numbers. 3-on-2. Here's Forte. Pulls up and hits it.
Tim, that's exactly what you're talking about. Just very patient.
Terrible shot by Williams. Cavaliers get it back. Pete Gillen needs a timeout, and they call one. Virginia in the second half 1 for 11.
And their shot selection has not been very good. They're taking long outside shots when they shouldn't and passing them up when they maybe should take them.
14:59 to play. We'll return after this message from the ACC. Well, Ed Cota in some pretty good company there.
Ed Cota has just moved into 5th place all time in the NCAA as leaders in career assists. You notice the top two, Bobby Hurley and Chris Cocciani. Ed Cota will very soon, probably in this game, go to number 4. Virginia shooting the ball very poorly, but again, they've got 12 field goal attempts to only 5 for North Carolina. Virginia doing a heck of a job on the offensive board.
Pete Gillen with a good timeout, although he only has 2 left. Trying to change some things. Into Hand, and he misses the layup. Cota kicks it out. That's for 3. And here come the Cavaliers as Max Owens drains one from beyond the arc.
And keep in mind that Virginia led in this game by 18.
I said here come the Cavaliers and met the Tar Heels. They're closing quickly. Another shot. Williams gets a break.
Pete Gillen asking for a foul, but that was just a wild thing. I don't even know that was a shot.
Pushes the lead back to 8. Forte.
And Chris Williams is going to pick up the foul. One of the problems for the Cavaliers, Tim, since they haven't scored any baskets in the second half, they can't set their pressure.
13:58 to play.
North Carolina trailed at 18 at one point in this game, but the Tar Heels with plenty of offensive firepower. Here a three by Capel, then Joseph Forte, who's been relatively quiet offensively, catching the ball off the break and scoring from two, and then Max Owens getting a three-pointer. So North Carolina, no three-point baskets in the first half, two already here in the second, and they've drawn to within 8.
The Cavaliers have never, ever won in this building, trying to overcome the ghosts. Look at the field goal percentage.
And Coda's going to get called for a travel. Another turnover. Virginia forcing the turnovers. They also have 13 offensive rebounds. Keep in mind that Bill Guthridge's squad has shot better than 50% from the field in the second half 16 times in 25 games, so they are really a second half ball club.
Carolina with 21 turnovers when they lost in Charlottesville. They have 15 here in this game. Here's Williams. He misses from in tight. Reverse layup misses. Can't believe the looks that Virginia's getting in close, and they can't finish.
That's 3 times in a row that they've missed from point-blank range. Now they're doing it against defense, but Pete Gillen wants his troops to convert shots like that.
Forte is fouled by Mason.
Virginia shot 54% from the field in the first half, but they have really struggled in the second half. Now Williams with the fake gets everybody out of the way and misses, pulls down the rebound, comes across, has a wide open look there and misses again. Owens got popped in the nose on that play, and Roger Mason picks up his second personal foul.
Tar Heels trailed by 18. Now it's just 8.
And the pace of this game has really slowed down, and that's much in favor of the Tar Heels of North Carolina.
This is for 3. Owens. Williams with the rebound. And a foul by Forte. That's his first.
Actually, they called the foul on Jason Capel. That's worth a try. They had him trapped in the corner. You'd rather your players not reach in at the ball, try to get the steal out of the double team on the pass.
Virginia's still ice cold.
And now North Carolina goes back to the zone defense. Change just designed to keep the Cavaliers off balance.
Cavaliers can't buy a basket this half. And they miss again from in tight. Watson was fouled. He'll go to the line.
It's very interesting to watch the Virginia coaching staff as the Cavaliers miss shot after shot in there. Everybody grabbing their hair.
Virginia just 2 of 16 in the second half.
Obvious look of concern.
Watson makes the first. He's a 54% free throw shooter.
It's only the second free throw of the game for Virginia.
Lang comes in, and Brendan Haywood will go out of the game for Carolina. Oh, I tell you what, he has really been rebounding well and blocking shots of late, playing solid inside. Today he's scoring, and he makes both the free throws.
Travis Watson, #4 in the ACC in terms of double-doubles, and he's pretty close to another one today.
Capel brings it up against Williams.
Oh, that's a really tough pass. A great catch by Chris Lang. Marvelous play.
Makes the shot, cuts into the lead further. Lang with just 4 points.
Lang has not taken that many shots, and he's missed a couple of those jump hooks, but that was an extremely difficult play, and he made it very well.
And Williams has it go off Capel. 11:44 to play. It's getting interesting. Coming up on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, you'll see one of these 2 games. Maryland Clemson or Wake Forest Duke. Wake Forest desperate, Dan, right now for a win. And Maryland, of course, going against Clemson. Take a look at the standings. You see Maryland moved ahead of North Carolina yesterday with their win over Wake Forest. North Carolina trying to match that today. And, of course, Duke has clinched at least a share of the ACC regular season title.
For the 4th consecutive time.
Shot clock at 4. Hall has to fire from way out there.
That was a good block out by Forte.
Foul's going to be called on Hall out front. That's his 3rd.
That's a nice job by by Max Owens to attack Adam Hall. The switch on the screen, and Owens did a nice job switching hands with the dribble and getting into the lane.
Dan, as the game gets close here with 11:18 to play, how much does the pass come into the mental aspect of the game? Virginia knowing they have never won in this building.
I don't think that the past comes into it in terms of Virginia thinking they've never won in the building, but you play against North Carolina, you expect them to make a run at you, and I think that's what enters your mind. Now again, North Carolina has done a nice job preventing Virginia from getting into that running game that the Cavaliers used so effectively in the first half. The Tar Heels go back to the man-to-man.
They double down on Watson. He kicks it out to Hall.
Now we're going to get a foul inside against North Carolina. Again, the Tar Heels doing a great job recognizing who's in the game, running at Keith Friel, making him putting the ball on the deck.
That's the first on Ed Cota. Lang checks back in, and Forte will go out of the ball game. Very quiet afternoon for Joseph Forte.
Virginia has done a nice job defensively against Joseph Forte.
They bring in Friel to see if somebody can get hot. He drills a 3.
Boy, that was a long-range 3.
He's now hit 38 threes for the year.
And that's in fairly limited minutes. Man-to-man for Virginia. Chris Williams banging inside against Haywood, and now Williams is going to pick up the foul. And that's an act of desperation right there. He got caught on the switch, and Williams, 205 pounds against Haywood's 270 pounds. And he's just hanging on for dear life. That's only his 2nd personal foul, however. Now on the switch, he's stuck on Haywood again, but Cota's got to call a timeout to avoid the turnover.
With 10:25 to play. Our nationwide ACC Scholar Athlete of the Week is guard Jim Fitzpatrick of Wake Forest University. The senior from Fairfax, Virginia, has a 3.04 grade point average, majoring in sociology. And he has a new haircut. Did you see that haircut yesterday?
Yes. Congratulations
to Jim Fitzpatrick, our ACC Scholar Athlete of the Week.
I think more correctly, that's a no haircut.
He's going to get upset with his dog in him like that. 10:25 to play in the game here in Chapel Hill. It's still Virginia 55, Carolina 44.
And North Carolina has regained control of the tempo of this game, but we talked about them converting their opportunities, and that's something they have not done consistently in the second half.
If you're just joining us, UVA's trapping defense led to 12 North Carolina turnovers in the first half, which ended up in 16 transition points.
Virginia only 3 field goals in 18 attempts in the second half, but North Carolina's only made 4 field goals in the half.
Out to Capel, back inside to go to Lang, and he's fouled.
I think they got Friel. It's no wonder Friel's going to commit a foul. Friel's only about 6'5".
And Virginia is getting some mismatches there at the disadvantage of a mismatch. Williams got his foul, and now Friel.
They're playing in that man-to-man defense, Tim, and they're all about the same height in there, so it doesn't really matter if they switch, but that time it was not a good switch.
Lang makes his first one.
And Lang is a guy who's been relatively quiet. The pace of the game, really, more than anything else, has taken him out of it. He hasn't had a chance to get set up much on the inside.
Lang makes them both. He's had a tough year with his shin splints and his bad knee, and he had the flu. Yeah.
So now North Carolina back to the man-to-man. We've got to find Friel.
There he is. This is from way outside. Oh, my! Friel hits another trick.
defense slacked off.
Virginia pushes the lead to 12.
That was an impressive looking shot.
Capel, he wanted the foul, didn't get one.
Capel turned the wrong way. He had Friel beaten along the baseline.
Friel again. Oh, that's 3 for Friel beyond the arc.
He simply turned the game around in the second half. Virginia back to the 15-point lead on the strength of 3 3-pointers by Friel.
Cavaliers, who go stone cold, couldn't buy a basket. Friel in the ball game, hits 3 in a row.
And let's see who they caught. They got Williams, so that's his 3rd personal foul. So Williams was pretty comfortable, didn't have any at halftime, but now they're piling up. And Keith Friel, talk about your great substitutions by Pete Gillen here in transition, just pulls up and drills the 3. Pretty good reaction on the Virginia bench in the background. Of course, if Friel makes many more of those and Donald Hand hits him like that, he's going to be injured.
He's got them all going. Lang trying to cut that lead. He misses it, and Haywood, over the back.
Well, now, that's only the 4th team foul against North Carolina, the 3rd foul against Brendan Haywood. Bill Guthridge's team from now on Virginia fouls will be going to the free throw line. The Cavaliers already have 17 fouls, and we've still got 9 minutes and 20 seconds to go.
Dan, a tremendous mood swing. You mentioned what Friel has done to the attitude of Virginia, but right now the Tar Heels look frustrated. Here's Friel again, off balance, and he's fouled.
Now, you want Friel to take that 2-point shot because he doesn't make very many of those, but you don't want to foul him because he's an outstanding free throw shooter. He's 10 for 10 against ACC competition from the line.
And for the year, 22 of 23, not bad. He's a junior from New Hampshire, 6'4", 195-pounder.
And what a difference he's made. He's got 10 points, and he's only played about 4 minutes.
And shooting with confidence, I'll tell you that, partner.
He's a guy who understands his role. He's supposed to go in the game and shoot, and he does.
That's automatic.
And Virginia has pushed the lead back out to 17, and that's despite starting the second half shooting 3 of 18.
Still plenty of time.
Oh, absolutely plenty of time, because North Carolina's really got some guys who can put the ball in the basket.
This was last touch by Virginia, so.
But now that Virginia's got the offense going a little bit, you see them picking up the defensive pressure, and that time North Carolina back on their heels. That was a possession reminiscent of what happened a lot in the first half.
Under 9 minutes to play.
Watson still has those 3 personal fouls. The Tar Heels unable to find Haywood on the inside.
And here's another turnover.
That's an excellent interior defense. And Friel's alone over there.
Another 3. Oh, that was halfway down. Look at Watson and Haywood really go after each other. They end up on the floor.
Haywood's lucky he didn't get a technical foul called on him for taunting. Oh, and he missed another one. I don't think I've ever seen Chris Lang miss 3 in a row like that.
Game is really getting physical.
And this sort of sloppy kind of pace favors a team like Virginia that likes to play quickly and besides is ahead by 17.
Williams. And here come the Tar Heels.
See if North Carolina can convert here. They've gotten a couple of stops in succession. And there we get a foul on Adam Hall.
That'll be 4 on Hall. 7:53 to play. Time now does become a factor, although, as we said, there's still plenty of time for Carolina. Watson will go out of the game.
Pete Gillen getting Watson out of the game and Don in just to make sure that the freshman doesn't lose his cool. He and Haywood got tangled up, had words with one another. I think that's a very good substitution by Pete Gillen, just try to calm things down. Mason coming in now, Adam Hall going out with those 4 personal fouls.
And Joseph Forte will be at the line. He's a 73% free throw shooter. Tremendous freshman from DeMatha High School. 6'4", 185-pounder, although only 6 points this afternoon.
Keep in mind that when these two teams played in Charlottesville, Virginia led by 12 points with just over 6 minutes to go, and North Carolina came almost all the way back. So the Tar Heels certainly not out of this game.
Forte makes them both. 7:53 to play. You talk about this game being physical. Watch Watson and Brendan Haywood. First down.
Virginia with the 15-point lead, and Keith Friel for the Cavaliers did not play at all in the first half. Substitution by Pete in the second half. He has made 3 3-point shots. This his last one. And this really makes the coach look good. You take a guy who hadn't played at all in the first half, you put him in the game in the second half, and he scores 11 points so far. Now, of course, maybe you ought to take him out. He missed his last 3-pointer. We talked about the Tar Heels having to take advantage of the opportunities that they were going to get in the second half, and they haven't done that. No field goals in the last 4 minutes and 14 seconds. And Virginia, who's only shot 5 of 22 in the second half of that, has actually increased the lead by 2 points.
Well, Pete Gillen was looking for a spark, and he got one from Friel. He misses again. Williams underneath, and he's fouled.
One thing the Cavaliers have done a very good job in the second half is with offensive rebounds. They now have 14 offensive rebounds in the game, 7 in the second half. And so that helps. If you're only 5 of 22, you're getting extra possessions by getting offensive rebounds.
You're right. We talked about that at halftime. Virginia's not a great rebounding team. The Cavaliers have been out-rebounded 8 of the last 10 games, but have really been crashing the boards this afternoon as Williams makes the free throw. How about that score?
Temple is really playing well right now, and Cincinnati, only their second loss of the season. That's a big win for the Jayhawks of Kansas. They desperately needed that one at home against Oklahoma, or they might drop out of the picture entirely in the Big 12.
Williams gets the roll and makes it a 65-48 ball game with 7:40 to play.
And in the second half, even though it's been more of a half-court game than it was in the first half, Brendan Haywood not really able to get involved offensively for North Carolina. The Tar Heels not able to use their inside power.
Still plenty of time for Carolina, but they've got to get something going. They really have not shown any indication that they can get a run going. Here's a nice hoop by Capel. 15-point game.
Keep in mind that the North Carolina Tar Heels are the #1 shooting team in the country. They have got guys who can put the ball in the basket.
And this is a team that's come back time and time again in the second half this year.
And we're going to get a foul called against Jason Capel pushing against Chris Williams, and that'll be team foul number 7. So now Virginia will go to the line for the 1-and-1.
That's only 2 on Capel, Dan, and he is showing frustration, though, in the way the game is going.
I think you can appreciate the frustration. It has been sort of a strange game.
Williams hits another free throw.
The Cavaliers have not had very many opportunities from the line, but they have made the most of them when they've gotten them.
Last year's ACC Rookie of the Year, making the best at the line. And misses that one. Under 7 minutes to play. Hayward with a jump hook. He struggled this afternoon. Forte with a rebound.
That's a nice job by Capel to keep that ball alive. But again, tremendous defense on the inside by Virginia.
Matt. Great hustle by Donald Hand.
And Tim, that's one of the reasons why you're always in the game against Virginia. They've got the 16-point lead. They come down the court and they take the long 3-point shot early in the shot clock. Very fortunate to come up with that rebound.
Shot clock at 15. Don will take it. It's for 2.
That's nice ball movement by Virginia, and Don got himself in a spot that was within his range.
I'll tell you this, Carolina better show a sense of urgency now because we're under 6 minutes.
Never saw Williams, and North Carolina very fortunate to get the foul call right there against Chris Williams. Now, there's 6 minutes left in the game, and that's 4 fouls against Chris Williams.
And it's the 9th team foul. The next one, they'll be shooting 2 every trip. Don goes out. Chris Lang checks in for North Carolina. Haywood goes out.
And what Haywood's doing now is he's standing out there waiting to go out of the game looking for his tape. Ed Cota, one of the outstanding guys in the ACC in terms of assist-turnover ratio, almost always. In fact, in 23 of 24 games that he's played, he's had more assists than turnovers, but not today.
Well, how about coming into this game? 24 assists and only 2 turnovers in the previous 2 games.
Okay, I'll give you another stat. Ed Cota has not taken a shot from the field in the second half. Wow.
And Forte is still quiet.
Brendan Haywood sitting on the bench getting his finger retaped. He injured his pinky in practice. And here the Tar Heels, they have been able to get to the free throw line. There's Haywood, and that's generally a sign of success for North Carolina, going to the line more than the opposition, but not so far in the first 34 minutes of this game. Well, now North Carolina needs to get some stops, obviously, on the defensive end. They can't be trading baskets with the Cavaliers.
No question about that. Hand penetrates. Mason loses it. And the Cavaliers come back up with it. Capel landed on the ground. There was no call. A lot of contact.
Shot clock still running. Oh, what a move by Knapp!
5:35 to play. 18-point lead again. Matches Virginia's largest. Cota. This game is getting away from the Tar Heels.
Majestic Map with the shot clock running down. Virginia doing a great job spreading the floor. Just uses his quickness and beats Ed Cota to the basket. Cota, it appeared, was looking for some help that never came.
Lang misses.
And Lang has really struggled with his shot today, and that has not helped the North Carolina cause. You figure with Lang catching the ball that close to the basket, he's almost automatic. Now North Carolina trying to put some pressure on the Cavaliers. And Virginia elects to push it back out.
Good ball movement. Mason.
Well, he just squeezed that one, a little wide open shot.
Forte.
A great screen by Lang.
And timeout North Carolina. It'll be a 30-second timeout. Let's see if Forte now will step up near the end of the ball game, because nobody really seems to be taking over for Carolina.
Tim, it's an interesting scenario right now. Throughout most of this game, it's been the Virginia Cavaliers that have tried to enforce the hectic pace. Now it's North Carolina that's got to play very quickly.
Coming up Tuesday, 8 o'clock, Wake Forest heads into Cameron Indoor Stadium to take on Jason Williams, Shane Battier, and the rest of the third-ranked Duke Blue Devils. And also Maryland and Clemson square off. Lonnie Baxter has been on a roll lately, while the Tigers' Will Solomon continues to lead the ACC in scoring. You'll see one of those games in your area, so check the local listings for the Raycom Jefferson Pilot sports game you will receive. Well, everybody in the ACC has been talking all weekend about the happenings on Friday, with Bobby Cremins stepping down at Georgia Tech.
Bobby Cremins, a totally class act. And he said he came in with a smile, and he's going out with a smile, and I certainly hope that that is true. Bobby Cremins is one of the really great individuals in college basketball.
Couldn't agree with you more, partner. He will finish the year. There's a guy that came in when Georgia Tech's program was absolutely nothing, and he just built it up. A couple of 3 tournament championships, made an outstanding point of getting his players recognition, players of the year.
North Carolina now forcing the turnovers. Now they've got to convert it.
Here's Forte again.
That is
He'll go to the line. Talked about him stepping up. He now has 12 points, and the last 4 for Carolina.
Keep saying that North Carolina is never out of a game because they've got guys who can make plays on the offensive end, and what an outstanding play by Forte. He beats the defense. Now watch him slice through 2 defenders, and even though he gets fouled, he constantly keeps his eye on the basket and gets the 3-point play. So suddenly now it's a 13-point game.
.4:15 to play.
And Virginia barely gets it over the timeline. Now this is funny. Virginia team that likes to play very quickly, now they're trying to run some time off the clock. How well can they do that?
Inside to Williams, the foul by Cota. Just 2 on Ed Cota.
Tim, you were talking about Bobby Cremins, and his accomplishments in Georgia Tech certainly outstanding. But I tell you what, Bobby Cremins still a young man. I think if he wants to continue coaching in college basketball, he's going to have people lined up asking him to come to their school to take the head coaching job.
Yeah, I agree with you. And not only can he should. He's so good for young people. Free throws now become large for Virginia.
And they have been very effective. They're now 9 of 10 from the free throw line. And this is what, if you're the brain trust there on the North Carolina bench, you play as aggressively as possible on defense. If they go to the line, okay, so be it. You got to get down and you got to convert.
Makes them both. Williams steps up and responds in big games. Had those 27 points against Duke. Stepped up here this afternoon.
And if you're Virginia, you want to put pressure on, but you don't want to foul.
Forte wants the basketball. Gets it. Over to Owen. Beyond the arc. Yes! Max Owens for 3 more. It's a 12-point game with 3:46 to play.
North Carolina doing a nice job. They don't have to score in the first 5 seconds of the possession. Capel with a pretty good screen to get Owens loose. Again, North Carolina has time to be patient on offense. A good screen by Capel, and Owens is another one of those guys who can really shoot the ball. You're talking about Capel and Owens and Forte and Cota are all guys who can be very effective three-point shooters. The key for North Carolina now is to get a stop or get some stops on defense. I don't know that 3:46 is enough time to trade 3 for 2 every time up and down the court. But North Carolina really hadn't gone on one of those runs where they've made 6 or 7 shots in a row. And for the Tar Heels, this would be a very, very good time to have one of those runs.
Here we go. Forte with a steal. Capel gets it.
And Mason is going to pick up the foul. So here, North Carolina steals the ball. They take 9 seconds. They're going to get a chance to now score 2 with the clock stopped.
And that's a key point. They are over the bonus, and now it's 2 points every trip. Mason now has 3 fouls.
That's just not a good inbounds pass. Donald Hand not able to get to the ball. A great defensive play by Forte to knock it away.
Owens makes the first.
So now Owens has scored the last 4 points for North Carolina. He's got 9 in the game.
And he's trying to make it a 10-point game. And he does. 3:40 to play. 72-62 Virginia. But here come the Tar Heels, and they're showing lots of emotion. North Carolina's cut an 18-point lead to 10. There's still 3:40 to go. So let's take a look at the game summary and update you on what's taking place here. UVA 2 timeouts. Carolina just 1. See no fouls.
Virginia, the next time they get fouled, they'll shoot 1 and 1 if it's a non-shooting foul. But for North Carolina has chopped 8 points off the Virginia lead in 1 minute and 10 seconds. At that pace, North Carolina will win the game by 20. And there, Pete Gillen begging for the foul. North Carolina can afford to be very aggressive.
Majestic Matt pulls it way out. Matt, Watson, and he's fouled.
And that's the last thing North Carolina wanted to do. You don't want to foul the shooter, and particularly if you're going to foul the shooter, you want to make sure he doesn't get the ball in the basket.
Foul is on Forte. That's 2 on him.
Knapp does a great job drawing the defense. And remember, that's a freshman, folks, passing the ball to another freshman in a big game at North Carolina. You can see the emotion on the part of Chris Williams. Just excellent execution by the Cavaliers.
And the foul was on a freshman, Forte. Watson misses it. Forte comes down with it. Now Virginia rips it away from him.
Williams just took it out of his hand. Another offensive rebound by the Cavaliers, and that's been a key. That's the guy you want to foul, is Watson.
Under 3 minutes we go. This foul's going to be on who? Pepper?
On Joseph
Foul is on Forte. That's his 3rd. Peppers was on the back side. Forte on the top side. And Mapp goes to the line.
Mapp only 61% all on the year, but in ACC games, 76% from the line.
Majestic Mapp misses the first.
And that was the 10th foul on North Carolina, so the Cavaliers will have 2 opportunities. Tar Heels with a smaller, quicker lineup in the game.
He makes the second.
4 shooters and Pepper.
13-point lead.
Good rebound.
Time running out on the Tar Heels now. Here's Watson. He banks it in, and we could have the end of the streak. Cavaliers have never won in this building. They're 2:36 away from getting their first ever win in the Dean Dome.
And that was a very impressive rebound by Chris Williams. And even though Virginia, you figure they're a team that's going to be scrambling on the defensive end, he got that outlet pass, and there were 4 of them down the court.
Capel takes it to the hoop, banks it in.
Nice job by Hand to get the ball out of traffic. Cota and Capel just not able to set the trap.
This will be the 3rd on Ed Cota.
And it has been a tough afternoon for Ed Cota. We showed you a little bit earlier where he had 4 assists, only 4 assists to go along with 6 turnovers. Cota still has not taken a shot in the second half.
Hand misses the free throw.
Hand leads the Atlantic Coast Conference in free throws made and is 2nd in the conference as a point guard in free throws attempted.
108 for 147. Makes the second one. .225 to play.
North Carolina needs to score quickly, and for Virginia, you just want them to run as much time off the clock as you can.
Capel wanted the foul. He gets the putback. 12-point lead.
And Virginia immediately gets the ball into the hands of Donald Hand.
Have the feeling the Tar Heels need some threes. There's Cota, picks up his 3rd.
We showed you that Ed Cota had become the 5th leading all-time assist guy in NCAA history today. He picks up his 4th personal foul, but he only has 4 assists today, and that's his lowest total of the year.
So Majestic Mapp goes back to the line. Majestic a la Mapp makes that one. 6'2", 180-pound freshman from the Bronx, New York. And that was more majestic than Scientific, that shot. Scientific, his brother.
You can stop any time.
Thank you. 2:02 to play. Under 2 minutes. Peppers.
Well, he made sure of that one. It's 11-point game.
And the push by Peppers.
Tim, you would not expect a defensive end to get that close to the ball and not push somebody.
And a good one. Freshman All-American.
And so Mapp goes back to the line. He was 1 for 2. And what North Carolina has been able to accomplish in the last couple of possessions, Virginia's only gotten 1 point at the free throw line, and the Tar Heels have been able to get 2. And so they're gradually chopping into the lead, but with 1:46, they may not have enough time left to continue that.
Brendan Haywood never thought he'd be on the bench at the end of this game. 1:46 to play.
They need guys who are quick. They need steals. They need shooting. So Lang is on the bench as well.
Oh, it's the right move as Mapp makes the second one, but I'm saying never did they envision this would be the scenario.
So Mapp misses both of those, and now North Carolina with a chance to cut it under 10, and they've got it.
It's a 9-point game with 1:37 to play. We take you back through the window of time now. The last time that Virginia beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill was 1981 when the Cavs were ranked #1 in the country. Sophomore Ralph Sampson had 32 points in the game, while Al Wood scored 29 of his 33 points after halftime to lead the Tar Heels. It was a battle of superstars down the stretch. Sampson blocked James Worthy's shot, but the second block was called goaltending. And Carolina went to the line. The Cavs tied it up in the final seconds of regulation. Jeff Lamp scored on the baseline jumper. We went into overtime, and that's where big old Ralph took over. Virginia got out to a 6-point lead by Sampson's 8 overtime points, and they go on for the win. Then frustration broke out at the end of that game. 80-79 final in overtime. Top-ranked Virginia, their last win in Chapel Hill, and that was over at Carmichael. They've never won here at the Dean Dome.
Tim, they put themselves in a position to win. Now it's a matter of ball handling and free throw shooting for the Virginia Cavaliers.
9-point game. So now the Tar Heels will try to keep the clock at a distance and put Virginia at the foul line.
Tim, the Cavaliers made 8 of their first 9 free throws, but they haven't been nearly as effective since that time.
Well, Majestic Matt missed those last 2, but he's only a 62% free throw shooter. Now you put Hand on the line, and he's a 74% guy. Does not miss that often.
Well, he's only 1 for 2 today, now 2 for 3. And the Cavaliers back to that 10-point lead.
As you mentioned, he's been at the top of the ACC with free throws made and free throws attempted. He doesn't get the roll on the second one.
They've only made 6 of their last 14 free throws, Tim, and that gives North Carolina a chance.
Cota off balance.
Oh, that is a great job by Hall to tip it back out.
Forte, his shot is short. Capel gets it and puts it back in.
And North Carolina cuts the lead to 8.
1:05 to play. And again, the foul on Peppers.
Oh, now Mason, I don't know what in the world is wrong with Roger Mason. You're winning the game by 8 points, and that is a 270-pound guy, and you're going to get in his face? That is not a very good play. The long pass to Mason, and Peppers just bumps him, and that's what Peppers is supposed to do. If Virginia gets the ball, North Carolina needs to foul. That wasn't a bad foul by Peppers. He just knocked him down. That's a pretty good foul. Could have hacked him a whole lot worse than that, but Mason, good heavens. You don't want to say anything to Peppers except hello, sir.
And Mason misses the free throw.
Virginia now 6 of their last 15 free throws.
Mason, one of the best at the line, too. 82% this year. And he makes the second one. 9-point game. Cota beyond the arc. And gets the roll.
North Carolina does not have any timeouts remaining.
6-point game. And the immediate foul.
Tim, we talked about free throw shooting and ball handling, and the Cavaliers just have not done the job from the free throw line down the stretch, and that's very frustrating for Pete Gillen and his staff.
The game is his to win. Seven-point game.
Now Donald Hand gesturing to the crowd. I don't know that I'd do that either.
53.5 seconds left. He misses the second. Here come the Tar Heels. Joseph Forte, baseline, off balance. And a foul by Capel.
And that's Capel and Donald Hand both going after it very aggressively. The whistle blows and they stop play.
Bill Ford with his head just hanging. He's beside himself.
North Carolina has had some opportunities. Virginia has left the door open a couple of times with their inability to put the game away at the free throw line. And here's Phil Ford, North Carolina's all-time leading scorer. He's a guy who likes to be at the free throw line at the end of the game. Seeing North Carolina, no timeouts left. Both teams in the double bonus.
Donald Hand, 4 of 7 at the line.
And timeout by Pete Gillen as he's going to try with a 9-point lead to make sure that his team is well organized in this last 44.6 seconds.
I thought Virginia closed the door on North Carolina earlier, and Carolina made their run. Now there's 44.6 left, so the Tar Heels up against it. Well, while there's timeout on the floor, why don't we take a look at the Pepsi players of the game. Keith Friel for the University of Virginia came in when the Cavaliers had just gone ice cold. He had 3 threes in a row, ends with 11 points. And for North Carolina, Joseph Forte, who was very quiet in the first half, he has 13 points and 6 rebounds. The Pepsi players of the game, 44.6 to go, 84-75 Cavaliers.
And there's Keith Friel. He only played like 5 or 6 minutes in this game, but they were crucial 5 or 6 minutes for the Virginia Cavaliers.
Pete Gillen was looking for a spark, and he gave it. Coda from beyond the arc. Owens for 3. Under 30 seconds to play, and Capel with another foul. Well, we talked about Keith Friel giving him a spark. The Advanced Auto Park presents this play of the game.
And quite naturally, it's Keith Friel of the University of Virginia. Came off the bench at a point where North Carolina had cut that Virginia lead to 6 points. Friel came in, hit 3 3-point baskets. The reaction by the Virginia Cavaliers. That was a spark. They knew it was a spark. An outstanding effort by Friel, again, in a very few minutes.
Jason Capel, disqualified, picks up his 5th. He leaves with 17 points. At the line is Majestic Matt, trying to close the door on the Tar Heels.
Tim, this is a huge win for Virginia. The Cavaliers sitting there desperate for a bid into the NCAA tournament, and a win over North Carolina. They put themselves in a position where if they win their home games, it's going to be hard to deny them a bid. Of course, that's a big if. Pete Gillen's team has a couple of tough ones remaining.
Well, even more significant is the fact that Virginia, which has only won in Chapel Hill a couple of times since World War II.
But Tim, Virginia has played, coming into today, 59 games in Chapel Hill, and they've only won 3 of them. And one of those wins was in 1911.
Well, you beat the Tar Heels here in Chapel Hill.
Certainly I had very little to do with it.
You were in the ball game.
And we better get this straight away right now. It was not the 1911 game.
Chris Williams now leads the ball game with 16 points, 12 rebounds, and Newby will go to the line.
Chris Williams, a very, very solid game for Virginia. I'll tell you what, he and Watson got Virginia started early with some play on the inside, and that really helped set the tone. North Carolina was not permitted to dominate the inside. Virginia created a frantic pace in the first half.
Terrence Newby, one of only 2 scholarship seniors on the team, the other being Coda, and he makes his first. 10-point game with 21.7 seconds left. It's going to be one whale of a tournament.
North Carolina has now lost 5 games at home for the first time since the 1943-44 season. Newby missed that one intentionally, and very near he banked in a 3.
Foul is on Owens.
And Pete Gillen very upset with something over there.
Well, he wants Donald Hand to keep the ball moving so they don't get fouled anymore. He wants that last 11 seconds to go up.
Talking about Virginia's schedule, at Florida State, that's a pretty difficult game. The Cavaliers and the Seminoles really went at one another. It was a 6-point win in Charlottesville. Then Wake Forest and Maryland at home, and those games are not gimmies by any stretch of the imagination. Maryland playing about as well as just about anyone in the country. We showed you Temple beat Cincinnati today, and so Temple playing very well, and Maryland took them right to the wire up in Philadelphia. So Virginia really has their work cut out for them, and this North Carolina team, they have a very difficult schedule to close out the regular season.
Last 7 seconds of the game. Cavaliers of Virginia are going to beat North Carolina. Willie Dersch, exclamation point.
And that's a technical foul on Willie Dersch for hanging on the rim.
It wasn't technical with 0.2 seconds left.
Well, it's very much academic, and I'm sure the Cavaliers don't mind the technical. That's one that Pete Gillen will let him get away with.
Owens misses the free throw. How about this? First sweep of North Carolina since 1981.
North Carolina got back at him, though. They beat Virginia in the Final Four in 1981. 0.2 seconds, and that's it.
That's the final. Virginia 90, North Carolina 76. We'll be back to Chapel Hill, North Carolina right after this.
ACC basketball has been brought to you by Bank of America, by Dodge Trucks, by Advance Auto Parts, by Pepsi, by Food Lion, by Buick, and by Bud Light.
Once again, the final score. The Cavaliers of Virginia beat North Carolina 90-76. ACC action continues Tuesday night. 8 o'clock start time. Either Maryland against or Wake Forest against Duke. Check your local for the game in your area and the time in your area. Once again, the final score, Virginia 90-76. You've been watching exclusive coverage of ACC basketball on the Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports Network. So long, everybody, from Chapel Hill.
Cold wind.